I wanted to ask about just your general thoughts on the team's performance this weekend and how they've looked in training so far this week.
Yeah, I think it was a solid performance at the weekend. Again, a couple players not available, one player getting hurt the day before, and Tate stepping in there and doing a great job. I thought we started the game with the right mindset and really imposed ourselves, and and then I think we managed the game the right way. I think San Jose's been a really dynamic attacking team, and I think we limited them to some half chances. I think one shot on goal, and so I think as a collective we did a really good job of managing our scoreline and then capitalizing at the end. So a really good performance to build on for this week, and so far in this week in training. Today was our first real training session, and it was really bright, man. I'm just really excited about all the work that we've been doing, kind of manifesting itself at this time, and so I feel like we're in a good way, and we just got to keep doing what we're doing.
And then on Tate Schmidt specifically, he's looked sometimes good, sometimes not as good in a back four this season.
Mm-hmm.
He looked more comfortable in a back five,
Mm-hmm.
but he looked pretty comfortable on Saturday. Do you think that he had any mental blocks that came up from games like the New York City FC game where you guys got 6 goals dropped on you? Maybe he suffered from a little bit of confidence issues after that, or do you think that it's just he had a good day and he is in the groove on this weekend?
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, as humans, I think you lose 6-0. It doesn't matter what your role is on the team, including myself. You're going to suffer a bit of a hit. But I think it's still a position that he's learning. Obviously, in a 5 or a 3 in the back as a wing back, it's a different. You got cover essentially. Here, you are the cover essentially for a center back that goes into a wide channel or what have you on the weak side. So I think it's a work in progress. I think the most important part for me is that the way he's responded in the time since he last played in New York and really stayed tuned in, comes in and does video with the coaches and really is working on his positioning. And so I think, Tate is again learning a new position, and he's done extremely well in some games. In other games he's struggled a bit, but I think at the weekend I couldn't be more proud of his performance against the guy in Espinoza, who's been a real thorn in people's sides this year. I mean, he's created a lot, and I thought he did a really good job after the first 10 minutes of neutralizing Espinoza.
And then one last one for me. Do you have any updates on Bobby Wood and Chris Cablan's injuries?
Chris Cablan is making progress, and he's questionable for the weekend. And then Bobby is I think going to be out for some time. I don't know if they've confirmed exactly what the injury is. I know they're talking to some specialists, but I think we can expect Bobby out to be out for some extended period of time.
DJ, we'll move to you.
Pablo, I'm curious how much you train for specific movements in games and how much guys are maybe forewarned or advised this could happen, and then how often something happens in the game and you just have to recognize it because it can't be coached up. And I'm thinking specifically of Justin Merrim early in the second half, and it ended up with you get a cross and you get a shot and you get a rebound and you're unable to score. But in the build-up to that, we've seen him come from that left side and tuck in, but this time he took off on a run all the way across the field, which I don't think I've seen very often. He ends up on the right side, but it really throws them for a loop, and I think it caused them some issues they had to solve real quickly, and they're fortunate their keeper came up big. How much of that is this might happen? How much of this is just him in the moment? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's all that, right? So we scout and we look at their what we call static build out, or their high block press and how they defend goal kicks. Then we look at their how they man up in the midfield. Do they go man to man in the back line? And so we talk about our, especially on Miriam's side. Miriam's really a link in our buildup as well. So we have the two pivots in Miriam. And so he's got the flexibility to come across the field, and it's really important that we have one of our other forwards pinning their center backs. And even if teams know what you're going to do, it's really hard to release anyone that's going to run horizontally across the field. And so we looked at Columbus, and they set up kind of the same way. And there's moments where we can exploit that. Now that could be also, if it's not Miriam, it could also be a 9 or a 10 or one of the forwards dropping into that spot as well, coming off of that weak side. So if Miriam doesn't do it, we can get one of our other guys. So we look at the teams, we train it, and then the onus is on the players to exploit those moments. In other words, we can't say, Miriam, you have to do it. But that is a tactic. These are the two possibilities that we'll look for if the ball's on our right side for either Miriam or a forward to do it. So we go through it, and we spend a good amount of time scouting our opponents and trying to find weaknesses that we can exploit.
I'm curious with Tate, is one thing you have to prepare him for now. I think early in the game, someone played, I can't remember who it was, somebody played a big diagonal ball, and they did get in behind him for a minute. And I think everybody's heart was kind of in their throat for a second, and you guys solved it, you handled that. And then they sent in multiple balls the rest of the game, but there was never that feeling that, this is a little out of control. Mm-hmm. It seemed like every time he intercepted it, he headed it away, or he was right on the guy couldn't bring it down or whatever. How much of that is something he's just going to, because he's had problems with early this season, he's just going to see that a lot until people think he's got it solved 100%?
Yeah, I think it's all a work in progress. I think in the first 10 minutes, they were overloading our left side, and his thought was to go step up to, I forget who it was, one of their central midfielders that was pulling out to the right side. Might have been Ewell, leaving Espinoza naked and forcing Marcelo to make a 30-yard run to cover Espinoza in the Y channel. And so just a quick adjustment, just let them have the ball on the right side. You deal with Espinoza, keep Marcelo tucked in. Miriam's going to have two guys, but we can lock it in with one of our forwards. And I think that adjustment helped keeping him connected to our back line. But then again, I think in the second half, when they did hit that switch, he was always in positions where he could defend centrally, but also make he made 2 or 3 good plays where balls looked like they were going to go over his head, and he was able to get to that ball and deny that. And again, it's really a game of cat and mouse. If you as a defender show that you're able to position yourself and make plays, the likelihood is that they're not going to try that as much. And I think he did that in the second half.
Is there any part of you that's surprised you're sitting on 28 points after 16 games, best start in club history?
Not surprised as much as I am proud of the work that we've been able to do as a group. And it's so cliche. You say take it one game at a time, and that's what we're doing. We didn't have like a point figure that we had to get to at this point in the season. We just want to win the game that's in front of us. And I think that if you keep your head down and you keep taking steps in the right direction, when you lift your head up, you'll more than likely be where you want to be. And I think that's really a testament to the group that we have, the culture that we have, that we're building, that we're continuing to build, and then bringing quality players in like Savarino. Anderson's has come back to the group, and so it feels great, and obviously there's a long ways to go, but I think it's a great foundation to keep building on.
We haven't seen Columbus in a long time. Is there any team in the West that they resemble, or at least parts of teams they resemble?
Here's the thing: is that last game I think they had 5 or 6 first-team players out, and so they played in a 3. Typically they play in a 4. They like to play expansive. They like to build from the back. They got Nagby as their pivot, kind of orchestrating things. They got some really dynamic players in the attack. So this is a strange one to prepare for, not knowing who they're going to have available for this game. So the last game they played in a 3, and it's reminiscent of a 3 in the back that Vancouver play, and with their wing backs trying to be aggressive, and and not too dissimilar to Nashville as well, where they have they keep 2 guys high and they defend with 9 and try to exploit teams on the counter, and they've been threatening on the counter as of late. So it just depends on what Columbus team shows up, because they've, like I said, they had 6 first-team players out with injuries last game.
Thank you, Pablo.
Dana, anything from you?
Yeah, I got. Did you call on me, Meg?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hey, Pablo. It's long been known that the DNA of RSL is the team is the star, and I think that's probably never more evident than this year. I think you have to go down like 47 spots to find in the league's goal scorers leaders to find the first RSL player there with 3. It kind of just goes to the balance on this team. Can you just address that? It doesn't matter who is out, who's in there, who's in the lineup. They seem to produce.
Yeah, I think it's tough in today's in the modern game to really talk about team. I think it's much more sexy to talk about individuals and what each individual player is achieving. But I think what makes us unique is everyone's desire to want to be a part of something greater than themselves on this team. And I think it starts with our leadership. I think Dami's a reflection of that. Marcelo's been wearing the armband. He's a reflection of that. And so it goes from top to bottom, and even within our auxiliary staff, our coaching staff. I think we're all super grateful and blessed to be a part of something greater than ourselves. And I think that type of culture is something, like I said earlier, that I feel is a foundation you can build on. And when you know that you will contribute to this team, you always stay hungry and you always stay prepared for your opportunity. And this year, with all the different circumstances that have been thrown at us, even like last game, Bobby, coming out in the 20th minute, the day before Chris Cablan going out and Tate jumping in, everyone is ready to go. And I think you can attribute that to the culture that we have in this clubhouse, at this club. Next man up, everyone's ready to go, and everyone's really rooting for each other. And it's a special feeling, and one that hopefully will continue to carry us in the right direction.
Thanks.
Tom?
G'day, Pablo.
Hey, Tom.
I want to talk about, or ask you rather, about your 2 centre backs and the importance that they've played, and how, I guess, rare it is to have 2 guys that have played as consistently as they have. And how have you seen that partnership develop over the course of 16 games?
Yeah, no, I think they've been steady. They've been reliable. They've been disciplined. I'd say the biggest difference that I've noticed from last year is they're both leaders back there. And when you lead, you not only lead by example, but they're also vocal leaders, and their ability to really communicate to the guys in front of them and really own that back line. And I feel that's what's the guys up front defending from the top, and those 2 defending from the back have really connected the group, and they've been unbelievable in terms of dictating where the line starts, dictating how to move as a group. But also when they've been isolated in wide channels, which is usually a scary situation for center backs, they've both been able to put out fires in those wide channels this year, and it's been such a joy to watch. And for all their hard work, they're getting rewarded on the offensive end as well, contributing to the score sheet. So they've been fantastic players this year, and the standard bearers for this group.
Of all the players like Marcelo and Justin that have seen a lot of minutes this season, do you feel like those players in particular are starting to find that the game is slowing down from them? I mean, all good players find a way to look like they're in slow motion when it's all happening very fast. From your vantage point on the sideline, are you noticing that confidence and a lot of minutes are kind of slowing the game down for a lot of these guys?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'd say in particular with the ball, and today we worked on the attacking side of the game, and I remember the game that we had in Portland, which is we had very little of the ball, to the game that we had in Montreal or in Vancouver or even Montreal, or even at the weekend. Their ability to really move into spaces, whether they're bigger spaces or tighter spaces, and feel confident on the ball, I think is a testament to how much confidence they're playing with. And defensively, again, like I said, when you're isolating the wide channels, you have to be confident to be able to defend in that spot, because if not, it's a dangerous situation for the group. So I think with time, some good results, and like you said, their connection as a pair have really allowed them to flourish here.
And then lastly from me, assuming the tests come back and confirm that Bobby Wood is going to be out for an extended period of time, what does that do to the shape of the team? And are you going to still play two up top alongside Sergio, or are you going to entrust Sergio to play alone?
Yeah, I think we'll play with two, whether it's a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2. The way I look at it is it's the characteristics of the player that plays alongside Sergio that will kind of dictate what that looks like. So, for example, if you play Anderson up there, it might look like a 4-4-2. However, one of them will always have a role where they're playing between the lines, and another one will always have a role to stretch. And if you play Johnny in there, which he did against Kansas City and played really well, now it looks more like you're playing with a 10, because you'll naturally want to drift in those little pockets, turn, and Sergio will be tasked with really carrying the line. So we have a couple options, and then obviously Rubio, who's been doing that, and obviously that looks like two. And Rubio's more, back to goal, hold up, bring the guys into play, get in the box. So we have some different options, some different looks. But again, what we've been doing really well, I feel like I don't want to change too much, just because Bobby's not here. We haven't changed much for not having certain players. So we'll keep going at it. We'll look at it. We've played every formation in the book that I'm aware of this year at different times. So we're flexible, but I just want to keep a good thing going and see how we go.
Sorry, one quick follow-up, Pablo. Bobby was kind of the hold-up guy. Sergio was getting on his bike and trying to get vertical. With Bobby maybe not around, do you think, are you trying to keep Sergio going vertical given his athleticism and speed, or do you think he's going to have to try and learn to be a bit more of a hold-up striker at this point?
I think you can share the load. Like at the weekend, I think Rubio has a really good hold-up play. And so the onus in this, in more times than not, the ask would be that Sergio is really, pinning that back line and really threatening the back line. Today we went over some video, and there's 3 or 4 good opportunities where he's actually making some really good runs and really good movements, and we're just not quick enough to find him. So he's doing that really well, and Rubio naturally wants to play with his back to goal, bring guys into the game. So in that pairing, it would be the same. Say it's Anderson, now Anderson would it'd probably be flipped. Anderson would be a guy that would stretch, where Serge likes to come deep. Although I don't know that it's always best for us, because I think he's a real threat behind. But if he's playing with Anderson, that would be flipped on his head. So depending on what the pairing looks like, we'll figure that part out. But we definitely have a couple options that we can go with.
All right, Caleb, we'll finish with you.
Sweet. Yeah, I just had one question. The MLS All-Star voting opened up today. I'm just curious, if you had to nominate one or more of your players for that game, who would it be and why?
I'd nominate Zach in goal. I'd nominate Justin and Marcelo as center backs. I'd nominate Brody and Aaron as outside backs. I'd nominate Pablo Jasper, Scott as central midfielders. I'd nominate Sava, Chang, Miram as wingers, and I'd nominate Bobby and Serge as forwards.
Great answer. Thank you.
And the reasoning behind that is because I think they're a great group of individuals and they're a better team.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.